Yeah, sorry. Apologize. I'm not gonna go over that again. Vanessa. And then Josh from Morgan County. So anyway, welcome everyone. So we'll begin by the approval of the minutes of our last meeting. Has anyone had an opportunity to peruse the meetings and know that we approved the minutes of our.
If I can.
Motion by Ron, second by Blaine. Is there any discussion or corrections on the minutes? Not all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That is unanimous. Let's move on with our agenda, our new growth updates. You have in your packets from the city and from the county, the new growth that has occurred. Yeah, still growing. I guess, is there anything specific that anyone wants to note on the new growth updates? How far are we away from the Rupp subdivision beginning, Mayor? Getting there, isn't it?
Yeah, they're starting to do their structure.
So those lots will probably be for sale when fairly soon, I assume.
I would guess turn of the year.
Yeah, first of the year. Okay. Anything from the county as far as the new growth? Anything you want to point out or bring to our attention?
Thing, Blaine, I think the one thing that'll probably affect us that we've been hearing about recently is a couple commercial properties. That probably won't affect the schools as much, but it would definitely affect the traffic coming in and out. And it's really around the Trappers Loop 89 area. I've heard of maybe 2 or 3 that are interested and looking to sign agreements. And so that's going to really move forward. That'll really affect that area. I know as far as that's concerned, I talked to Rob White, the Region 1 director, is probably 6 or 8 months ago and said, hey, I think we might need a study in this area. And they looked at the area and determined that they did not need a study at the time. So we're concerned, but it's not to the point where we have to have a major change there, but that'll bring in a lot more traffic. So.
Did I read in the paper last week where you approved another subdivision down there? Or did I dream that?
Which one?
It was down in the
Oh,
mountain.
the Warner,
Yeah,
Warner subdivision, yeah.
that was like
That was just a preliminary.
West Warner, yeah, it's just concept.
Concept is all.
Concept?
Yeah, it'll be
Concept.
a few
like
months,
50 something lots, or did I?
40 to 50. Sounds about right. Do you even remember? 53.
53.
Okay.
Good. And of course, that access will be on the trappers, so we'll need the UDOT approval there.
That Warner family lot.
Just south of,
The old Kim Warner.
Just south, yeah, just south of Trappers Point. Yeah, it was a Warner family. They sold it to CW, and CW's running with that section anyways, that parcel of land.
Kim Warner.
Are we allowed to ask questions?
Absolutely not.
Jacqueline and her husband. And
Should we-
the whole family, it's the whole family estate.
That's a question.
The section that you asked UDOT to look at, it was on Trappers Loop, and what was the area?
So we condense it in about 1 minute. So we had a resident come in, it'd be west of Trappers Loop intersection in 89. They came in and said, I'm looking to develop this to 6 lots. We have so many residents in the area that we said, look, well, I said 6 lots is kind of negligible. Other commissioners are going, this is a concern. We had one commissioner who said, I don't want to accept any more until we at least have an understanding if this is going to be safe or not. So that's what triggered that. We had the meeting with Rob, and I think who's the gal that helps him out with studies? What's her name? Jacobson, Carrie Jacobson. So he tasked Carrie to look at it, and we just said, look, because what they're saying is the build out of that commercial property that's west of the sewer ponds there. They said, once that builds out, you'll have to have a traffic light for anybody that's ever lived in Morgan County. That's one thing we've always said is we don't have a traffic light here. For the very first traffic light to be right there makes 0 sense. So we had them look at two locations for a traffic light. One was that intersection, the other was this intersection. We're saying, look, you guys are recommending a traffic light. There's two. Sorry.
Young Street.
In Young Street. There's so much traffic there. Just come any school morning and you'll understand. But so we said, at least evaluate the busy intersections first before you're recommending one that hasn't even come about yet. So they did look at both of those, said it didn't warrant a study at this time. So we checked that box.
So Josh, is there any others we've missed down there? Okay, I know there's a few homes up Porterville Way that have been going in. I don't know how long they've been on this list, but they got a few homes going in up there.
Yeah, if there's the vote for lots.
Well, I'm saying they're already going, so I don't know what's happened. And plus we got that meadow, what is it called? Meadow something or other up there, right on Richville Lane and Highway 66.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It's happened more. They've got all the septics done and water and
No, if they got their septics done and they're putting in their homes, then they already
they
have
haven't got
building
any of that
permits.
yet. Can't do it because it just hasn't gone past preliminary. Final, hasn't gone to final, it's gone to preliminary.
Yeah, we can talk.
So I guess for Kelly and Ron, from the city's perspective, the two that are pretty active right now would be that Quail Hollow Phase 2. And also the Riverstone Townhomes, which are being built, and that's the ones that are in the way right now, so I would expect.
We're keeping an eye on it. It's been kind of interesting because we've experienced fairly significant growth at the high school. But our elementary schools have been pretty quiet.
Pretty static.
It went up just a little bit in one of them and down just a little bit in the other one this year, but.
Okay.
Okay. The townhomes are what's making us wonder. Because the elementary schools are where we're gonna. It's where we don't have any room to grow. Sorry. No, I just didn't. Okay. They don't normally talk, so.
Huh? We don't know who to talk about. Okay, is there any other comments then on the new growth updates? Any other concerns? All righty, let's move on to the county local option sales tax. Jared and Blaine. It's your show.
Got our ordinance. Thank you, Julie, for sending over that example from Summit County. Summit County included a lot of things like public transit and federal highway, which we're not concerned with. So we modified it a little bit, but it was a really good base to use. So we've got our ordinance. I submitted it to our county attorney. He had a couple minor changes. I think the one thing he was checking on, and I don't know, Julie, if you know the answer to this before tomorrow night at 5 o'clock, but the.
Is that when you're taking action?
Yes, that's when we are. I think it was called the effective date, I believe. So, we approved it a ways back, probably May 3rd, May 4th, whatever meeting that was, is when we officially approved it. And that's in the ordinance also, but then our ordinance won't pass until, we're planning on it passing tomorrow. So, but then the actual tax, when we get the taxes for it, might not be for another 2 to 3 months, so.
After you tell the tax commission, so if you tell the tax commission before the end of the year, then you would have to wait the first quarter of next year, so you would start collecting revenue in April.
Correct. So it'd be that, so we probably need to get that date from tax commission then.
Yeah, I guess the effective date would be April 1st, 2023.
Yeah, that's right. But you need to get the notice. If you wanted to start then you need to, like Julie said, you need to get the ordinances and the notice, everything into the tax commission by the end of the year.
That's our plan.
Mhm.
That's where we're at, Chair. So,
Okay, all right. So we wouldn't start collecting until probably the 1st of April then, correct?
Yep.
On both of these.
Both quarters.
Yeah. Just for my, I guess to make things clear for me, the 1/4% is prioritized by COG, is that correct? Then the other is the county and.
yeah, it's a little, yeah, without getting into a lot of detail, a little bit of it goes to the city, a little bit would go to the county. Yeah, it all depends on the population and the percentages, so it's kind of divided up a little bit amongst the rest of us, if you want to say it that way.
But the one is, it
It's
goes through COG, so.
Yeah, the third quarter versus COG and the fourth quarter will be part of it goes to the city and part of it will go to unincorporated. And then the part that goes to the county can actually be used throughout the entire county. It's just for the county to distribute. So like Salt Lake County distributes that throughout all of the cities, municipalities. So there'll be just, so that will depend on how the county wants to prioritize the county portion.
So from the state tax commission, we should get a percentage of that, of what should go to the city, and then be able to give them that check every year. Is that
It goes
correct?
straight from the tax commission to the city, yeah.
Yeah, it does. It goes straight.
I'll Get that number for you.
Yeah, that's one of those.
Well, that is a good segue then to the,
Can I just, I'm sorry, one more thing.
Absolutely.
So the tax would be imposed April 1. You wouldn't start seeing receipts from the tax commission for, what is it, 2 months, right? Approximately 2 months.
okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Like I said, that's a good segue into the next item on our agenda, which is the funding for the Young Street Bridge. Mr. Ty Bailey.
Okay, so we just started the bond process. We got bids. And we needed to have our match in place for UDOT to be able to award the contract. And at the last meeting, it's sounded like there's support from the council to do a $4 million bond. And then we would do a subsequent agreement with the COG for their portion. So the city would just look to the COG to make that agreement once the revenue's in place. So when you prioritize that new money, we'd like to use that to make the bond payment. 3 million of that would be for the bridge and 1 million would be for Young Street road improvements that the city we would pay for the road improvements. We're only asking for assistance on the match for the bridge. So at a future COG meeting, we'll be bringing that to the agenda. So we waited as long as we could. We were trying to have, some federal money or the COG money or the local option sales tax at the county in place. And we just had to finally just do the bonding ourselves. So we'll finish that process and then we'll have a annual bond payment. The first year is the estimates are like in the $70,000 range the first year. It's awesome. So that just shows you the proposed schedule, repayment schedule. And so we would just once we finish and we know what rate we got the bonding, then we'd like to come to COG and just make an agreement for the match side of that, proportionate to how much of the bonds are going to go towards the bridge versus Young Street improvement. So what we recognize is once we finish the bridge, the Young Street isn't in very good condition. So we're going to redo the road from the elementary school to the bridge. And the other side, Commercial Street's already been rebuilt. And so that'll be
Which one from the,
elementary school to the bridge on Young Street.
okay,
So we'll do that. The city will do that portion in our road,
oh, okay.
right? So we don't have the money right now, but as long as we're bonding, we're just saying we're bond for the entire amount. We'll work that outside of the UDOT project. So that we can tie that all together at the same time. Otherwise, that road's not gonna last with the new traffic that we're gonna put on it.
So basically what you're saying then is this bond payment will be everything we collect virtually?
Yeah, but 3 million of it would be the portion that we would ask for from the COG.
Okay, you're saying that you're asking for the repayment for the $1 million from the COG.
No, 3 million.
3 million.
1 million to be the city.
Okay.
So what's the total cost of the project? Estimated total cost?
4.9, so 5 million.
Okay. And how much
We have
did
two-
we get from UDOT?
We have 2 million in grant. currently.
Okay.
And then everything else is our match. Right? So we've also applied for the direct funding, the earmark from the federal government. They won't know until December when they pass their budget. If we get that, that will take 2 million off. And we'll just repay the bond early. With that, that would leave just $1 million of the remaining amount. It's a 10-year ask. So anyway, that's what our,
You know, I don't mind doing that, except for one thing. Committing all of that money we generate, if all of a sudden we have a bad tax year, sales tax year, then who's gonna come up with the excess that we need? Not saying it's gonna happen, but it could. But my question is what about all the other projects that we need to support from this group to keep the county going? I mean, I'm saying, when I say county, I mean the city and county.
yeah. So there are no other projects from this group. We've never supported any, I mean, other of the new revenue. I'm just talking about the new revenue.
I
So
think the way I would word it is the minor and major collector roads in our county and city.
Yeah.
The city really has mainly one, and it's Young Street.
Right.
Right. Whereas the rest of them, and I'm being very 30,000 foot, but the rest of them are the county. But the Young Street right now anyways is the project that's gonna be used by more people than anybody. We do have the Peterson Bridge that we're still getting that taken care of, and then the Devil's Slide. And I think both of them could qualify. If you look at Devil's Slide, I'm not sure the percentage would even be 5% usage compared to the Young Street Bridge. So I think as a whole, it's not really county v city as much as it is COG. It's just transportation as a whole. What's our priority and how do we attack that priority the best way we can?
yeah, and I'm just talking about just the portion that's prioritized by COG. It would probably be the full amount, but you're also going to get additional revenue from
It's
the
not all
county.
of
The other quarter.
It's not.
Yeah,
all-
your other quarter will be the county to work on any county road. So it's nice because it is additional revenue, and we've been working on this since 2019. It's been talked about for
30 years.
30 years before I got here.
Long time.
Right. And so the question, and the reason why we're moving forward on the bond is because we literally either bond and move forward with the project, or we pull the brakes on it and hope somehow that the project gets less expensive over time. Right? But, and I'm just saying, that's a decision point. And so the other thing is if the COG dollars don't come in at the estimated amount, the city is on the hook because we're the ones, the bond is in our name. So we've backed the bond with 100% of all of our road money. Right? Just to qualify for the bond, we're having to pledge 100% of every dollar that we have. For the next 10 years. And so that's why we're saying proportionately, that's what we would come to COG and ask for, is just.
I think the one thing we haven't discussed yet, because I agree to a degree with Blaine, it's kind of tough to use all your expenses for a undetermined amount of time. Have we thought about putting a certain amount of for payment on the bond of I don't know, what do they call it? They don't call it a tax, but we put it out to vote to the residents and they agree to pay for that bond. Have we thought about that?
General obligation.
Like a
It
special
would-
assessment.
it would be a general obligation.
Yeah, just like for $1 million of it. And we put it out to the residents and each of them pay a very small amount and all of a sudden $1 million of it is paid for.
So that's an option.
Another thought.
We haven't talked about it, but yeah.
Yeah. And really what this allows us to do is it is a city project, puts us into the driver's seat, gets all of our financing in order, and then allows us to make a subsequent agreement with the COG for that payment.
Well, if I get my wishes, this will be a drop in the bucket for what we're gonna do. Because of economic development, is going to help this out. And that's where we have to continually work on the economic development of the county.
Sure.
And we're working forward with that as much as we can. I'm sorry, I still am.
And another thought, can we have I guess, numbers are can we have kind of written down as, okay, here's the total cost, here's where it's going, here's what the plan is, here's how much we're asking a COG, here's what the COG gets in now every month, here's what they'll get in after the tax. And then we can, I think, really look at it and say, okay, because we can't spend more than what, 50% of what we get in, what comes in.
Other
or
than the
what's
local
existing.
option sales tax, you can.
Yeah, the local options.
We're only talking about the
Quarter
local
of
options.
reservation we can.
Right. So anyways, I just want to make sure we have a good plan in place moving forward. And I don't want, I hate the word being on the hook, but I do not want the city to feel like they're bearing all the weight. I mean, we have got to, all of us have got to play.
If you bring in that McDonald's like you
We have
talked
to do
about,
this project.
we won't have to worry.
Jeffrey and I, of course, were on the city council, and the mayor, and we voted on this last Tuesday night. I mean, as Ty just explained, I mean, we have other sources of funding. If worse came to worse, although we just have to let everything else kind of go as far as road projects are concerned.
Yeah, just to qualify for it. So we're good.
But we just, you know, we just wanted
Yeah, we
to,
have
we talked about it, talked about it, talked about it. And we just wanted to get it done. You know, we're through talking about it. And so one of the reasons.
So Chair, if I could answer, Commissioner, Councilman,
Commissioner.
Friend, whatever you want.
Councilman Anderson's question is we will bring that proposal. And so we'll be bringing actual bond numbers,
Numbers.
right? But the problem is we'll still be working off of estimates as far as the COG, right? So when we do that agreement, the agreement will probably have to have some parameters based on actual revenue collected.
Sure.
If that makes sense. But we haven't brought anything because other than just to let you see what the estimates are, we'll go through the bonding process and then we'll also have actuals on proportionate that was used for the bridge versus the road. And we don't plan on asking for any assistance on the road, just the bridge. So,
Cause it'll kind of take a year to flesh out how much revenue that's going to generate. That
yeah, and that's how that agreement's gonna have to read, but that's why we're also leading, why we're doing the bonding is because we don't have any actual revenue to pledge if we went through COG or county at this point. So it'll just be a subsequent agreement to help us with the bond payment.
So what's this prior debt service that you got on here? Where's that from? Is that just something you guys have done within the city or is it within COG or what?
Yeah, that's what we have. That's on our own books.
Oh, okay,
So that just shows you the debt coverage.
okay.
And so they're just saying of the obligations that are already out there. To qualify, you can see where the debt coverage numbers on the very right column come in. And so we're in good shape on. debt
You're
coverage.
rolling the bridge and the road into that bond.
We'll have a new road from school down to the road going up to the fairgrounds.
Good, we'll have a trail too.
Just offer a comment on this, the concerns that you have about using up the revenue generated by one of the new quarters, right? The 0.25 on one project. Reasonable concern. That's why I think you're so smart about doing both of the quarters at the same time, right? Because if your quarter is going to generate, Julie, like roughly how much is one quarter?
Next calendar year, depending on sales tax growth rate, between like 560 and like 600 for the county for the third.
Okay.
It's gonna be a little different on the fourth because of the formula.
Right,
Depends
but
on
so
who
like,
wants.
so for the entirety of the county, including the city, the entirety of the collections is gonna be, $550,000-$600,000 for each of them, right? And if you're using the one that comes to the COG to prioritize, if you're using the majority of that to cover debt service on the Young Street Bridge, you still have the entirety of the other one. Some of that money goes to the county, some of that money goes to the city. So that's why you, for what it's worth, looking at counties all over the region, the fact that you all are doing both of them at the same time gives you the ability to get done your biggest local project, your most important local project, and then also have other funds to spread and do other things in the city and the county. It's just a smart approach.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So yes, I think it's a project that has broad support from the community. Something that someone's but people look forward to for a long, long time. So,
Well, from a
And it's-
safety standpoint, I don't know that we can do
and,
anything else.
and
We're dropping about we're dropping about 2,000 kids off on Young Street every morning. At a dead end.
one ingress, one egress, and that's the problem right there. So,
Plus, you've got parents dropping kids off, so you've got
Saturday.
all that traffic you can kind of imagine. You come here,
the
it's a
huge
mess.
impact for the school, so.
Well, we can't thank you guys enough because previous city councils, previous county councils have not moved forward with it. So to have the manager come in and say, here's a plan, and to have you guys accept it has been.
And I
Heaven sent, honestly, because it's been 30 years. So
And then 30 years, it would say a lot for not only COG, but for the ability to work together and get this project done. It shows the future of what's going on. So thanks to the city and you guys, and let's just get things done.
Kai's point, this project started out about 3.8 million, roughly, engineer's estimate. Now we're up to 4.9. We just keep kicking this can down the road. It's just gonna get more and more expensive.
It was actually up to, it was actually up to 5.5, but because we did the commercial street, so we put 800,000 in the commercial street that brought the overall project down to 4.9. So we were probably real close to 6 total. But because we pulled that part out of the project, it's a significant investment, but lasting, just it'll make a world of difference. And then, the grant is already in place for the trail on the other side of the river. So the pedestrian aspect of this will, so if we finish Young Street from elementary school to the bridge, that's sidewalk. And on the other side, we'll have trail that connects back up to Commercial Street over to the fairgrounds all at the same time. It'll be a significant improvement in pedestrian and vehicle traffic.
and we're planning on continuing in that trail all the way
Right.
around to the pickleball courts. So
I want to be able to ride my bike to the pickleball. On the trail.
you got it.
I'd like to have it go all the way. to the
Anybody
end.
thinks this project will be cheaper in 10 years, please raise your hand. Any other comments, questions on that? Thanks for everyone's support on that. Okay, so, reports from our COG members assigned to attend Wasatch Front Regional Committee. Blaine, anything from the, October 27th, 22 meeting?
I'm gonna say. No, at this moment.
By the way. if-
Other than the
if you
fact
folks
that
from
these
Wasatch
guys
Front
are-
wanna chime in, okay? As we go through these.
These guys have been generous to come up here because I was complaining enough. And so I will let them kind of give us an idea of what's going on.
All right,
Is that okay? with you?
absolutely.
Okay, well, thanks. Just so we sort of did this, but reminder, I'm Andrew Gruber. I'm the Executive Director of Wasatch Front Regional Council. You probably all know,
Yeah, I'm a little smaller this time because I didn't realize that you guys got new AVs.
Do you, should I have made introductions? Do you know who we all are?
Yeah, I think I know everyone.
Marcia doesn't know, I'm sure.
I'll figure it out.
Well, we could.
We can do introduction.
Do it really quick. I'm Tony London. I'm on the Morgan City Council.
Mayor Gale.
Jeffrey Richards on the Morgan City Council.
Cali Free School Board.
Josh Cook. He's our Director of Planning and Development.
Hi Bailey, Morgan City Manager, and you got your wish. You are bigger.
there you go.
Put in.
Jerry Anderson, Morgan County Commission.
Ron Blanc, I'm the school board president.
I'm Marcia White. I'm the Economic Development Director at Wasatch Front Regional Council.
Apologize, I should have done that at the first of the meeting.
Yeah, thank you. That's nice of you. So we're really happy to be here. And I know Julie participates in almost all of your meetings. I come sometimes. And our being here today arose out of some conversations that we've had with Commissioner Fackrell. And I'll characterize it in a way. Commissioner Fackrell wants to get a lot done as soon as possible. Fair enough?
That's correct.
I mean, I'm sure you all do, right? You want to do the right things for your community as much as you can. And so that prompted us to think about and sort of catalog what are the things that we at WFRC are aware of that are happening in Morgan County? What are the projects or initiatives that you're working on? And so we put this sheet together. Does everybody have, if you don't have it, we have extras. You have one? Okay. Here, we got extras. We got more. There you go. Okay. Yes. There you go. One for you. Who doesn't have one? You don't have one?
Here, we got one coming right here.
Thank you, we got it.
Okay.
2, 3.
So Julie mainly, put this list together. And here's the idea here is that we wanted to, this is sort of a two-way thing. We wanted to put down a list of, here are the things that we're aware of to provide information to you about projects or initiatives, the status and possible next steps. So we can be sure we're on the same page. Part of the idea there is we want to make sure we're aware so that we can be doing everything we can to help you accomplish your objectives. And then if you see anything that you think is missing from here or that we should know about and we can assist you on, we want to do that as well. Okay. And so I don't know, maybe Julie, you want to do a quick run through of these?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so the first two are UDOT projects. The Mountain Green Interchange, as you probably are all aware, have received money for an EIS. That EIS now has a pen at UDOT, a project manager, and also is under contract negotiations, I think, with a selected consultant. I don't know who that consultant is, but
Can I give you a quick update on it?
yeah, go ahead.
It's
Perfect.
actually an EA, not an EIS, and
Okay.
that's kind of significant because
It is.
EISs take longer.
Yeah.
Yes. That's right.
I'm literally just got an email back from Dave Adamson. So Mike Romero is going to be the project manager. Avenue Consultants is who
Okay.
They're negotiating with currently. Of course, I'm being if I didn't have this title, I wouldn't be able to do this, but I'm pushing UDOT saying, hey, they said we could probably do this within 2 years.
Hmm.
And I said, no, 18 months. So we'll see how that flies. But I think with it being an EA, they actually should be able to get it done in 18 months from everything I've heard.
It's simple. It's a simpler process.
It is.
Under the federal law.
Correct.
Mhm.
So anyway, sorry, that's
So I had heard it will take a year, so 18 months is probably a better estimation of it.
18 months.
That project is estimated at 70 million.
To 80 is what I've heard. Mhm.
I always heard lower, so it's probably
Always a
not that.
20, 30-year involved out project, and now it's been moved up to 18 months.
We had lobbyists that talked, they really pushed the legislation. It was Lincoln Hill. It was Lincoln Hill, it was Dave Stewart, and it was Greg Curtis. And they all pushed legislation to get as much money as we could appropriations. I think we were one of one of 2 or 3 that were specifically named in appropriations. In fact, Andrew texted me 10:30, 11, when it actually
When it actually came out in the legislation.
came out in the legislation. Congratulations. Anyways, it's a big deal. We wanted it to be back on again. And I don't think anymore. We now have changed it from 20 to 30 years out to hopefully 10 years plus out. So we're really pushing and trying to get it.
Commissioner, can I also just also a little more on your point? The funding for the EA the environmental assessment gets done over a relatively short period of time. That is not the same thing as there being funding to actually do the project. Okay. What you're talking about, like looking out decades in the future, has been, well, the project is in the plan, Utah's Unified Transportation Plan, but not funded. And so the anticipation is, when's the funding going to come? We don't know. When will it get to the point that it's prioritized high enough in the UDOT process? But having it actually get the EA done is a huge step. It's a necessary step in moving forward. Yeah, for what it's worth, we've talked for a long time about the possibility of the Olympics and the impact that could very well have on how the relative priority of this project. I'm not saying it necessarily depends on the Olympics, but if the International Olympic Committee, the IOC, actually announces that in 2030 or 2034 the Olympics are coming here, that will work highly in the favor of this project being accelerated.
Well, and it's a hard one to accelerate because the numbers don't warrant an interchange. So for us to push it from an economic side, development side, and Snow Basin and Powder Mountain and Upper Valley and everything that would do, that's what we're really pushing. And I think that's why appropriations, they said $5 million to start with. So.
Yeah, and then Devil's Slide Bridge, that should get started likely this winter. The PM on that is Brady Roberts. I don't know if did you guys need to match on that? Or is it fully funded?
60, yeah, the 6.9 or whatever it is. 7.
Okay.
Yeah, but they started that. They just closed that
should-
Wednesday of last week is when they
Okay.
closed it officially.
Okay.
Fix the road on the other side.
And then the Trails Master Plan, the draft is out. So you have a copy of the draft, right?
Have not got the draft yet.
Okay, the consultants, okay, let me make sure that the consultant,
They haven't sent it to me yet.
okay.
I'm in charge of it.
Always the last to know.
I just told the consultant that you need to have a copy, but the draft is currently out for review. And so hopefully that's identifying priority projects on the active transportation side and potential funding sources. One of the issues there is that there's little to no right of way easements for any of the trails to get built. So that's just like a hurdle to overcome in the future. You have corridor preservation funds. We talked about the Young Tree Bridge. I
On
think,
that, just one more thing on the trails, and it's noted on here, but you all probably heard the governor made an announcement several weeks ago of having an initiative to do a statewide trail system. Elevating, building of trails, constructing of trails all over the state. And we're working with UDOT on that proposal and the prioritization. And so this is something I know you've talked a lot about this, Commissioner, having really good trails in Morgan County for your residents, for tourism, et cetera. And so this is a positive sign that the governor has made this a priority. So, it's an opportunity as we go forward. Okay.
we talked about the Young Tree Bridge. I think I have the wrong funding on there though, Ty, in terms of what the UDOT portion. We talked about local option sales taxes, and then through our transportation and land use connection program, which is a planning grant program, W4C administers, we have more Mountain Green and Peterson plans, and then a Morgan market study, which James Ebert is helping with on the county side. And that's expected to be done in next March. That's going to have some land use recommendations, some vision for build out in those areas, and then some economic development strategies. So that's coming along a little bit delayed because the consultant had some health issues, but should be done early next year. And then the next two are just some awards from CDBG, the community development block grants that W4C administers for the county.
That's
One-
not Riverside Park.
Okay, that's what Christy told me, and I.
Yeah, okay.
What was it?
County Fairgrounds.
Okay.
You didn't get any money for the park?
But we have
Um, That's done.
We're building a trail so we can walk over to the fairgrounds and use the new restrooms there. I'm just kidding.
Save our park one.
So that's done, Ty. Those bathrooms are done. The bathroom's done.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they are.
And then the basement is done, renovation.
Yep.
Looks good. So go
Amazing.
shower down there after you use your trail. You can go shower before the COG. Let's play pickleball. You want to say something about that? Okay. And then on the backside, there's just a Weber River floodplain mapping study that was applied for through CIB Capital Improvements Board.
Yeah, we've got the public hearing tomorrow night.
Tomorrow. Okay,
So we've
perfect.
got to check that box off. And
Okay.
then once that's done, we're meeting with Zach,
Uh-huh.
CFP representative, to go over, make sure we got everything. So yeah, the plan is to get on the list and then to move forward with that. We've already found our 50,000 match where we're going to get it from the county. And then I don't know if you guys remember, but just as a reminder, it's evaluating the floodway area from the city boundary, basically at the dump area, all the way up to the pickleball courts, and trying to bring that in better than what it is now. So
It does need help. We discussed that last month.
we've discussed it a couple times. Yep.
And then Andrew, did you want to talk about the Safe Streets for All action plan?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
So this is actually a federal program in the new infrastructure law that passed just a little bit ago, a year or so ago. The way this works is we are on behalf of the whole region, including Morgan County, we applied for a planning grant for safe streets and roads for all. If we get that, then we can put the plan together. And I know somebody from Morgan County has been in, huh?
Commissioner Anderson.
Oh, you've been involved. Oh, good. Okay, thank you. So maybe you can explain this if you want, or correct me in whatever I say. But been involved in this. Doing the plan is the prerequisite for communities to actually be able to apply directly to get funds for projects. So we put the plan together, get projects in the plan. Once that's adopted, then that makes you eligible, city or county, to apply directly to the feds to have road safety project funding apply for. That's competitive, so there's no guarantee. It's just that you'll sense a little bit of frustration in this. It's the hoops that the federal government makes you jump through to access the funding for this program, that program, that program. So, but we're moving forward on that. And we hope to get the award to do that regional planning study, or develop the regional plan at the beginning of next year. Commissioner, you want to add anything on that? No. Okay.
And then the last one is just like transportation planning. So UDOT has met over the past couple of years, I think once or twice, maybe twice or three times, in development for their statewide long range plan. I think those have been held at our office /online. I missed the last one. I was online with Commissioner Peckle. And so the statewide plan is in progress, should get wrapped up, I think, in the next few months. And then that will get integrated into the Utah's Unified Transportation Plan, which a lot of the funding from either the state or local governments or Court Preservation Fund sometimes require you to be in one of those long range plans. And then there used to be an RPO. We kind of disbanded it because it was a Weber County, Morgan County. We've talked about recreating Morgan County. I met with Josh and Ty probably too long ago. And the hope is that it will get kicked off early next year. I know I owe you guys some like key roles at the RP that we can help you with the RPO. So hopefully that will get kicked off next year. And one of those things is hopefully helping prioritize COG monies for transportation.
And we also applied for that grant to do the joint general plan update. We got it through UDOT, but
Oh, yeah.
your application process, and we're submitting, the city's submitting a ordinance rewrite for downtown and a parks and trails plan for the application that's due December 8th on the.
That's for technical planning assistance
Right,
through
but-
UDOT to do general planning. Great.
Right,
We
but
collaborate with them on the.
yeah, but Julie helps us out on, like, she keeps us,
I forgot about you guys doing that.
yeah.
Where you've adopted,
Can I step in real quick? Cause I
Yeah.
really got to run. So I
Yeah.
apologize, Chair. I just want to make sure it's okay that I've got to go to another meeting. Wayne's going to be following behind me as soon as you guys are done. So I apologize, but thank you.
You have anything else for us that you want us to?
No, I don't. Thank you for the
Yeah.
update, and we'll keep in touch. We've got a lot that we want to be moving forward. So.
In the next 2 weeks.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you
No.
for all-
2 years, 2 weeks to get this stuff done.
Okay.
And then we can go forward with the next year.
Yeah.
and Ty, you guys adopted your general plan? No.
No, so we have
No, you
the
didn't.
draft from the contractor, and then our own planning commission's been taking several months of doing their own updates. So the contract, the grant money's all been spent, but we're submitting like a unified list of comments back for them all in one. So our planning commission's just taking extra time with it. We're making it basically a more local plan. And then the contractor will bring it back through a 3-meeting process. So they're not done with, you know what I mean? Like, they're gonna still do our public hearings and then go for adoption, probably early 2023. But we closed out the grant because we spent all the,
And then the county also didn't adopt that yet. Okay.
we're getting real close.
Okay.
Fine tuning it. Yeah.
So I don't know if you wanted to go, I know one of the standing agenda items is our committees and councils. If you wanted.
Yeah, if you want, what I was sort of thinking is that by giving you this overview, it kind of covers a lot of the stuff that has been talked about at those meetings. Part of the reason, I'll just say, this goes back to conversation that Commissioner Fackrell and we have had also. Our meetings, we have a role on the Wasatch Front that is different than the role we have in Morgan County. We have an official role under federal law of doing the transportation plan for the Wasatch Front. In Morgan County, because Morgan County is a technically, under the Census Bureau, is a rural area, not an urbanized area. We don't have that technical responsibility. It's a UDOT. So that's why Julie's referring to UDOT doing the long range plan. However, and so sometimes when folks come to our meetings, there's a lot more talk about the Wasatch Front, which can be frustrating, particularly if you travel. And I totally get that. That's why we think having the RPO is really important, because it's a way to help make sure that when you're one county in the midst of the entire state, there's a focused effort to make sure that you all in this area are on the same page of what your transportation priorities are. And then with us helping to staff, with Julie mainly helping to staff the RPO and coordinate with all of you, we can help you work stuff through to the extent you need it with UDOT or identify funding sources like we've been talking about. So it's it's kind of a strange middle ground, but we just want you to know that we love helping you and wanted to put this list together in an organized way rather than sort of trying to pick things out of bits and pieces out of various WFRC meetings, to put it together in an organized way. So.
Well, having said that,
Yeah.
do we need to discuss these other bullet points at all as far as these reports, or did we pretty well cover it?
I think we've covered it,
Yeah.
except for maybe one item that I have from that last meeting we had on the 27th.
Oh, yeah.
The Wasatch Choice, there are some Wasatch Choice workshops that are taking place
Yeah.
that we may want to be involved in. So you may want to get online to do that. We have.
Can I add to
until-
that a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is, and I think Julie was sort of referencing this, what we are doing, we have done transportation planning workshops around the region. And I know there have been some that UDOT has coordinated that have covered Morgan County. And my understanding, right, Julie, that are they gonna do another one? So we'll participate with UDOT for Morgan County, is that right?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Let me put it this way. If you feel like there's a value or a need to have a workshop for Morgan County with us and with UDOT, we can do that. The question I think is, because you've done it relatively recently, whether you feel like there would be value in having another transportation planning workshop. Right?
I would like to.
Okay.
I want them on the hot seat all the time.
Okay.
I mean, hey, sure, we've got funding, but I still want them involved in trying to help us with everything we've got going, even though
Yeah.
we don't have the population.
And it's also good. This is part of the thing with the RPO is that then UDOT is an official member of the RPO as well, which brings them in.
Okay.
Yeah, we're happy to check back with UDOT on that as well.
Just checking in with Christopher.
Good.
Okay, thank
Did
you.
you have anything else?
No, the only other thing is that we can apply for some acquisition of lands and stuff for under the TIF. TTIF, that's trails, right?
For
Oh, yeah.
property acquisition?
TIF active for applying for land acquisitions if we need to for trails.
Oh, okay,
No.
also through UDOT.
Sure you got. But-
Hmm.
So that was in our last meeting.
Not sure if you apply, can you apply for just the right of way, or it has to have a project, and then the right of way would.
It's an eligible project
Yeah.
cost. Yeah, I think it's probably the right of way acquisition could be part of the project costs.
There's a
So-
40% local match on that.
Okay, yeah, I wrote down that there was 40% for part of it, and then just talk to Chris.
Okay.
They're, on those projects, they have to be parallel to or near a state route.
That's all we are.
No, it doesn't have to be. It
Okay.
just has to be connecting an origin and a destination. It's paved trails that connect an origin and a destination, meaning like it can't be like a track or something, or just dirt. So, yeah. And then, Marcia, do you want to add anything about, just sort of while we're talking about things on the community economic development strategy side, or anything else that you want to share or hear from this group?
So we've talked a little bit about the EDA funding, and possibilities of getting some EDA funding.
That's what
From
now?
the Economic Development Administration has planning and partnership grants that you can apply for. Those are typically a match situation. I don't know what you would fall in as far as the match. And those are competitive, but you need a project. So you need a project that adds economic, you just need to have a project that adds jobs, basically. So. or any diversity or equity type projects, so. And then wouldn't be eligible for TLC funding.
Yeah, they are.
Oh,
The UDOT portion will pay for the projects. That's
That's-
the Peterson study.
so that's,
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, happy to be here. I don't know if anybody has any other questions or anything for us. We're happy.
One little, I've been observing as I go down canyon through South Weber and I'm seeing they're doing trails along the Weber River there.
Yeah.
And just wondering where that money's coming from or how it's getting to be done, because I've honestly seen like 2 people on the trail. And it's a nice trail. From the mouth of Weber Canyon, you park, you go under the overpass and then go all the way down to Adams Avenue. And I've seen just a couple people on it, because it's usually hurricane winds in the morning. But that's what I was wondering, how they hold that off and how we could
I can tell you
maybe
that.
look at getting it through the river corridor here.
One of the things that happened with that is it's called the Northern Utah Trails Foundation. And they have a lot of they go out and collect money and they have a complete organization and they went out after the money. And they put it in last year. Was it last year? I think it was. They put that in last year, just brand new. And before that, it was just kind of gravelly, and then they put in pavement and it was all through that Northern Utah Trails Foundation.
Yeah, this
Which
looks
is one of the
probably
things-
Roto Mill.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's nice.
But I've been in conjunction with them, working with the trail connecting that we would need, trying to connect between us and Weber County on that side and us and Weber County on that side. And eventually the ones going to Summit County this side and Salt Lake on the other side and Summit County. So those are later ones. These are the initial ones going through the canyons and up over Trappers Loop. So that's what we have to do is within our trail system.
It's awesome.
He would say they also got TAP funds from us apparently. And possibly Davis County funds.
See, the major part
I
of
think
that.
maybe a developer paid for some of it as
Yeah,
well. So I think
think
it was
so
like
there's a lot of money out there for that, but we need to get, that's part of the plan that I'm
Yeah.
trying to get accomplished. And not just the plan, but I'm trying to get some of this project. We have very little of the canyon in Morgan County. If you realize at the Horseshoe Bend, that's Weber County.
Yeah.
And so now we have to work with Weber County to get that done. And Weber County is aware that we want to connect. So that's part of what they're doing in their foundation. And that's what we're trying to do in the trails. And what we need to start doing. The trails group, were you there in the last meeting or either one of you? Anyway, we're just, Teresa was, yeah. So we were discussing or not the last one, 2 times ago, we were discussing the potential of putting together a nonprofit organization to take care of that. So for Morgan County. But we can get some more funding. So anyway, they're working with us on that.
Ambitious
Sure,
project.
yeah, I think I'm trying to do as much as I can for the
All
county,
righty.
guys.
Any other business? Just one quick thing. I want to thank once again Denise for helping us out. She's done a great job this year, helping us with our COG meeting. Next year, it reverts back to the school board. Yeah, so
Make sure that. Jana knows.
and so our next meeting, I assume we'll have a meeting in December. I assume so. And then we'll be meeting in the school office after that. So again, kudos to Denise. She's done a great job helping us out this year. And appreciate her efforts very much. So, yes, ma'am. Oh, I thought you said Tony. Okay.
Can I say something?
You may.
I just want to tell you, I wish she was here constantly doing it every year.
Denise,
Denise.
it's been very thorough. Denise does a great job.
I don't know how the city or the county, the school's gonna be, but you've just done a super good job.
She's set a rather high bar. So,
Jana's good.
so anyway, thank you, members of Wasatch Front for being here.
Yeah.
meeting with
Yeah,
us
thank you very
tonight, so
much.
appreciate your attendance and there is nothing else. We will adjourn this meeting.
Go red.
What?
Go red.
Oh, go red. Oh, I think.